you can use Fabbler to actually generate storytelling with minimal effort. So our vision is to actually enable, democratize story game production. First thing is make them earn cash. So we need to create economy where if they create something, they can get a return from it. Second thing is let's make you famous. AI art will be here, but the human-made art will be just very special, and people will appreciate it as human-made. Yeah. My name is Greg. I'm the founder of Fabbler. So my background in general is also in IT. So I've done some projects for large companies in Europe. One of the projects was like really automated warehousing with robots. That was work for Ocado. It's like a competitor to Amazon here in Europe, or at least they are trying to compete with them. It's in top 100 largest companies in UK. And some cool projects that we've done there was you have an app, you place your grocery shopping, and you get that order delivered to your doors in 15 minutes. I think this is not needed in US because in US you drive everywhere and you pick up your shopping, but in Europe it was pretty really cool projects to do. Yeah, people were super excited, to do shopping and get this in 15 minutes at your door. Yeah. So, and then I've also done work in game dev, and here is where this transition from IT into Fabbler comes. We have released a few story games. Those were pretty successful games. We had at the moment almost 20 million players worldwide, and making these games happen was really, really hard. Yeah. In general, game dev is super hard industry. It takes you a year or 2 years to produce something that is later consumed in a week or 2 days, and you never can keep up with the content production. So in the middle of 2022, when first Stable Diffusion 1.4 was released, we already knew a little bit about AI because of our previous experience for the IT companies. And we've realized that Stable Diffusion 1.4 maybe wasn't great, but we could see that you could actually apply it to gaming and make it work. So we started first working on the pipeline for creating characters. Then we've created pipeline for creating scenes. And by the end of the year, we've created a proof of concept game that was entirely made by AI. Now I think this is very kind of achievable, but at that point it was pretty kind of amazing to achieve this. And for some people, when we were showing this is actually AI made, they couldn't believe they were thinking it's a scam. Or then ChatGPT revolution started, technology started progressing, and now I think no one will deny that you can make content in the game that is fully AI made. Yeah.
Awesome. So when we were looking over it, it's Fabbler.ai. So you have some demos on there and stuff like that. Can you just walk us through the stage that the tool is at right now, and then maybe expand on that long-term vision of where you see it going in the future, what you're trying to develop right now?
Okay, cool. So at the moment, you can use Fabbler to actually generate storytelling with minimal effort. So what you will be able to do is, without experience, if I take my mom and I sit her in the front of the PC with the simple instructions, she will be able to generate a story with the characters, with the narrative, with the voiceovers and the music, and export it as the video. But there is a little bit trick there. We actually record the video from the game engine. So what we do underneath is we actually build a game, and on the server we record a gameplay as a video so that you can experience your story yourself. And here's where the vision is. So our vision is to actually enable people, like democratize story game production. Yeah. So the storytelling module is the first phase. In the next steps, we want to add the gameplay modes. So really, in the same fashion as you now create a story with minimal effort, you can generate games like a mystery games with choices or decisions, quiz games, and some like a textbook like gameplays. And we are actually at the moment also working with some companies. We can see that this process already works in some way. So we have one company from Warsaw that took Fabbler, and previously they were spending 6 weeks on producing a simple cutscenes for their puzzle game, and they already could automate that process from 6 weeks to a day. So I think that this ultimate vision, what we want to achieve is to take a random person from the street and make that person make story game, yeah, like in 15 minutes. And I think that this goes to kind of this reference, like if you look at YouTube, so in 2010, if you go to a random person on the street and you ask that person, oh, do you want to be a movie producer, they will have this mindset of like, this is not really possible. You need to have all of this equipment, screenplays, cameras, there is some team required. But what YouTube has done, they've shifted mindset of people to idea that everyone can be a movie producer. Yeah, so now you have 33% of Gen Z thinks that they will be the content producers. No one actually denies that you can actually start making movies like Mr. Beast does, and so this is very accessible. When today I will tell to any of you, like, come on, let's make a game, this is still not very available to people. You say, okay, I need to have an artist, I need to have some writer, I need to have a programmer, I need to have all of these people to create a game. So the idea behind Fabular is that we want to solve that problem and make it accessible to everyone. And ideally, we will trigger these individual creators in the future who will decide to make games. We can see that people really care about featuring themselves in games, which is very interesting. So like people nowadays have their digital identity avatars, and when they create experiences, they typically ask, can I place myself in the game? We have such features coming. We actually already have them. They are not available. So you can upload your picture and create character that game character that looks like you. So you can create narrative with yourself and your kids in it, or with your friends, and you can storytell. Plus, you can make that experiences interactive.
That's awesome. So you're trying to make like the YouTube for gaming in a way, game creation.
That's the long-term vision. Yeah, I think that there is a long way to go, because you need to create this. Like there is, I think, 3 reasons why people would want to create this. So what we experience now is when people use Fabbler, they tell us that it's magical, it's really cool, I really love it, but we need to give more meaning to them. Yeah. So first thing is make them earn cash. So we need to create economy where if they create something, they can get a return from it. Second thing is, let's make you famous. You've created a game, and that game was released. For some people, being famous is 400 people played it, yeah, and they are super happy. If you go to Reddit, like new YouTubers space, you will see that people are so excited about even having 100 subscribers, 300 subscribers. They appreciate that small audience that follows them. So being famous. And the third thing is that to give them a sense of community, so make it more collaborative. So we're working on the feature where you can have the library of assets, and we envision that we can have one creator create. It's not even necessarily related to AI generated content, but having artists that will upload his own art, and someone else will use that art and use AI to generate variants of that art. So if you, let's say you are an artist, you've created a character, you upload that character to library, and Fabbler creates the variants of that character that can be used in someone else's games. And then maybe we can go back to the first step, which is let's make a return to all of them. Yes, so everyone who uses Fabbler is happy because they make a return, they have the sense of community, but also they can be noticed. Yeah, I think people have this big need now today to be noticed by others. Yeah, so
no, very awesome. Now what would one of these games, well, I guess a couple questions here is, are these games available right now in the beta program, or are you just doing sort of the story part of things right now and the gameplay is going to come later?
A gameplay part will come later. We've already done a work to proof of concept this and prove to ourselves that we can make it, and we can. At the moment, we are taking it in kind of phase approached. So the storytelling is the first thing. We need to get it right. Yeah. So if people can create meaningful stories, everyone can tell his own story with the tool, and we can have some game dev studios use it to actually tell stories for the games. So you are making a puzzle game, you are not expert in creating narrative, but then I can get Fabular, and Fabular will generate that. In general, in games, what you have these two types of gameplay. You have real gameplay when you play a game, and then you have the meta gameplay that creates a need to play a game. Yeah, and you have different types of meta gameplays, but you also have this very strong story meta gameplay. Yeah, so let's say you play Witcher, and you think you play it because you like to, the gameplay mechanics, whatever, but there is also the story that you want to uncover, and that's the reason why you play the game in the long term, and it provides the retention, let's say, mechanism, so people are coming back and playing the game every day. Yeah. So the storytelling part is first. Once we get it right and we see that what Fabbler produces is meaningful, we will start implementing the decisions gameplays. And so during that beta phase already, we discovered multiple needs among the creators. Yeah. So for example, what I've mentioned earlier, initially our impression was that people will be really excited about generating things. But what it appears is that it's this repeated feedback that people want to actually upload their own images or have an image of the living room and transform it into game art. Yes, so something that we discovered is that people really want to implement their digital identity and their environment as digital kind of entities in that stories. Yeah, so this is what we are working now on.
Yeah, it's really interesting because a lot of influencers out there just use social media to promote themselves, but I've never heard anyone saying, well, I'm going to create a game of myself and use that to get more influence or followers. So that's kind of interesting.
And this is exactly what I wanted to, what I was initially saying, is that people don't have this mindset. Same way in 2010, no one would ever consider themselves, I'm gonna, like, obviously it's different. We always gonna have this professional studios making professional content, but we think that there is this space to empower. Like, if you go to Reddit spaces, you'll see people asking questions. Yeah, I'm thinking of doing games after hours. Is it hard? Will I be able to do it? And the answers are, oh man, that's gonna take, like, if you spend 40 hours a week, you probably can create something meaningful in a year, but don't, like, try to make it small, like small project. Yeah, so it's still in the same space, making games in very similar space than movies production or movie content production was actually in 2010. Now with the Sora release from OpenAI, I think a lot will change.
Yeah.
But I think it's like with everything that changes, you always have space for people who will do it very professionally. I think that AI will never replace professional movie making, because people will still want to see this kind of spark of people in the movie, and once they will understand it's all AI, they will not be that interested. They need to have celebrities that they can follow, but it's not like it will be one or the other. Yeah, you're still gonna have big industry for the AI generated movies, and probably the professional, normal, classic way of making movies will shrink, but it doesn't mean that it will disappear. Yeah? And with the games, I don't think that there is any other future than having, like, individual creators making games at ease without having, large teams of people, designers, outsourcing, etc. So that has to be the future. Yeah, and I'm sure that we can make it happen. Yeah,
definitely. Well, like, so what does one of these games look like? It sounds like you're already testing the games behind the scenes. Like, what are the first games that you're going to release look like, and what would you like them to be eventually as well? Like, is there any kind of example that you can go over for the audience out there?
Yeah, so first iteration, we are focusing on the games, such in the story games market in general is huge, and one of the most popular gameplays, especially for the female audience, is like a story decision games. So where you experience narrative, you make decisions, and that the decisions somehow change how the narrative goes. And the coolest thing about Fabular is that because we control all of the narrative context for you, you can make that decisions very, very meaningful. So the problem in producing such games today is that to manage all of that tree of dependencies, it's just hard. So what people do is they typically make decisions that are not really meaningful. They change little in the game, or they are faked. So if Fabular, you'll be able to create like very complex decision tree, and all of the decision can be meaningful because you have minimal effort to create this. Second gameplay that we also envision is quiz type gameplay, where you kind of experience a narrative and you are being asked question and you can find whether the answer were right and wrong. We have some cohort of beta testers that come from the educational background. We can see that. So they look at Fabular as the means to teach kids at school or educate someone else. So this is another thing. And the future, like a future, we envision that we could implement gameplays such as hidden object or point and click gameplays, like anything that has a story as backbone. Yeah, so we are not focusing on kind of gameplays where they are action oriented. It's all about the story and using that gameplay to tell your unique story to the audience.
So is it kind of like a choose your own adventure game to begin with, like those type of games?
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. But you could have a celebrity on there and an influencer, and then you lead them on the journey, right? Like down the path for the story.
And that is actually what we also found out during testing, that like when you test with people, they do typically two things. They either place themselves in narrative, so they're creating themselves and creating story with themselves. And the second thing is they try to create celebrities and create stories with celebrities and known people and some alternatives. So definitely this is what people want to do. They are kind of focused on the characters that are meaningful to them.
Awesome. And can they, like, if you're doing one of these adventures, can you record it so you can play it again? Or you can replay what the adventure was?
Yeah, sure.
That's cool. So you could you could play the game, record it, and then upload it to YouTube or TikTok or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So with the story game production, we also are looking at this vertical of, because you have influencer or content, let's say creator on YouTube, and they have their primary content that they produce. So there's like a long form video or whatever other content, let's say Twitch stream, and then you have these different means to promote that content. So we are also looking at this vertical. Can we take content, this long form content production, that this is the main source of income for the creator, but then he could utilize Fabbler to create a playable experiences that are actually connected to that primary content, so that people who experience this content will say, okay, I want to find out this narrative is connected to that video, let me see that video. Yeah. So I don't know if this podcast is the only thing you do, but you could imagine that if you produce some long form content, Fabbler could be means to promote that long form content in a little bit different way.
I have another channel. I do like 3 news stories a week on anything AI related. They're usually like 5 to 7 minute videos. So yeah. So how would that work? Like, say you have a video about, a Sora AI news story, right? About Sora, how Sora was just released by OpenAI. How would Fabbler fit into that?
There's difference in terms of audience and needs. Yeah. So when we are talking about this promoting long form formats, so let's say we are talking to the person that is releasing a physical book. Mm-hmm. So what they would like to create actually to promote the book is storytelling that gives some elements of that book. So you have like let's say book is about how to be more confident,
Okay.
and the book itself is a book, but
Uh-huh.
you need to have some means to promote it, and the general kind of the difference here is a little bit different, that person that created book not necessarily wants to create a games. So what they would prefer to do is to upload the context. So you upload the contents of a book,
Okay.
and then you want Fabbler to generate some playable experiences for you in the background, share a draft with you, so you can just approve it and share it with you with the audience so they can play it. And if the people
Awesome.
like the content, like educational content in the story,
Mhm.
they might buy your book because they like the gameplay. And it's a little bit different, and because people who may typically, if you make this primary, if you are making podcasts or long form video about AI, you actually want to focus on that, on production of that content. So here we can see that in Final Vision you can get Fabbler to like the zero effort game production, where you will just upload your video, we'll do the transcript of the video, we will get the images of the video, we will get the assets, we will generate the variants of the assets, try to generate some draft of the story for you. We just get it on the email and say, yeah, I like it, let's approve it and let's share it. So it's like really zero effort. So it depends on who you talk to, are different needs, because if you have a person that really wants to self-express with Fabbler, they will want to have a control. If you have a person that actually focuses on something different, they want Fabbler to do like this zero effort production so that I can just share it with others and promote my main things. But it's still, you've produced something, this primary content that was shared with Fabbler as context so that he can create those interactive stories for you.
Really awesome. Like, it's such a different way of thinking about things. It's hard to get your head around when you first hear it, like a game based on content that you upload, and the example you're going over, a long form video on YouTube. So it's crazy. And a lot of content creators are looking to promote their stuff. They've got a lot of good content, whether they have a long form video and they want to create a short out of it, or they can create a game out of it. They've already done the hard work. So if you just upload a transcript, which the transcripts are easily created on YouTube anyways, you just copy that and put it in a Fabbler, it'll create a game for you. That's pretty exciting, to be able to do something like that.
It all depends on the content, and the content I will focus on first, So like if you have, let's say, you have these Roblox creators, and the Roblox creators create just, they record their gameplay in a Roblox and they tell story. So now what they can do is they can cut those video into shorts, share it as shorts. But what they also could do is upload the video to Fabbler. We will do transcription or copy transcription and take particular scenes, generate variants of that scenes and put it together as a game that they could use to promote this primary content that they have. And very important thing is that if, let's say, we talk about Roblox creators, they also have their distinct digital identity. So those games should feature their characters, their unique avatar, because other players know them in Roblox by the way they look like in Roblox.
So how did you come up with this gaming idea? Do you have a background in, like, you just like video games and thought of it this way? And
no, like we have interesting mix here at Fabbler, because we actually combine two worlds. So my background is like this classic IT, and long story short is I've released one small game, a very short game. That was, I think, in the year 2000. I've made it after hours. It took me 1 year to make this game. And this is example. I was after hours working on a very simple game. It's called Enigma Spy Adventure. I think it's depublished now. So like if you Google it, you will find the content on that game. It was we called the developer Bad Pixel Games, and I worked with my friend. It was like over a year after hours. And that was like probably 20 minutes of gameplay or something. But that game generated, like in first 2 months, like 1 million plus something installs. So it got pretty popular. Apparently, I'm still getting emails from people will you release the second part of the game? So that was like years ago, yeah. And for the other games that we've released later, we people also keep emailing us like, are you gonna do remake and so on. So like, if you make a good story, and there are also some other really cool things about making good stories, yeah. So when we've released a game called Lucid Dream Adventure, there was a story about disabled girl on the wheelchair that stepped into world of dreams where she was trying to save her mother, because like, it's a little bit, I'm not gonna spoil it, yeah, if you're gonna play it, maybe. But in general, the story, this is a little bit like Alice in the Wonderland, but a little bit changed theme, yeah. So you have disabled girl that struggles with problems at home, and she steps into world of dreams, and then in the world of dreams she can walk, and she's trying to save her mother. In the process, she learns about her father, and so on and so on, yeah. So, and we got hundreds of emails from people saying that this game has made change to their life, or that they suffered loss, and this game was so cool because it helped them to deal with this. And this is like, you're making a story. It's just a story, but and for you, it's like if you work on that game for a year or two, it just becomes really kind of like another day in the office, and you kind of start getting detached to the story and so on. It's very hard for you to assess whether story is good or not anymore, because you spend so much time on it. But then when you see that some people were touched by just a story, because the game is more mainly about the story, and it kind of helped them to deal with some of their problems, is really cool. And I think that this will be also, I think, the biggest success of Fabular, if you could get people to tell their stories in the way that they could touch others and make their life a little bit better in some way, or to make them so coming back to your question, it's kind of like we are combining two worlds, because by maybe small coincidence, we've released a game after hours that was pretty successful by its own. We've invested zero in marketing, and it got like millions of installs. Then the follow-up games were also pretty successful. We won multiple awards. We got awards from Google. Google actually showcased our games in London during indie showcase event, so that was really cool. We have very good relation with Google actually because of that, and then I always had this mindset of optimizing things, and I could never kind of understand why it takes so long to make a game. It sounds so simple, and even viewers consider it simple, yeah. Like I have to tell you that this is pretty kind of it's hard to deal with when you get a player who played the game, and the game lasted 8 hours. It took you 2 years to make game, and then he tells you like, why it's so short, can't you make it longer? How long it took you to make it, like 2 weeks or 3 weeks? Like, really, this is the comment, because people don't understand making games. It's super hard. And when you have it's not just like, in general, our team is super kind of effective in making content. We were always super effective, yeah. But then when you look at some companies, such as, I was talking to the VP from Disney Gaming, I think they were having a game released in Asia, story game, Disney story game. So he told me that they have team, and it's a story game, so it's like a linear, yeah. Okay. So they had a team of 60 working on a content for year. They were designing content for a game for a year, and that content was consumed in 7 days. And what he told us is that story games are really hard, because the better content you produce, the quicker it gets done by players, yeah. And that's what we've experienced. Actually, we suffered on those platforms, because in Lucid Dream Adventure, the total gameplay was like 8 hours, and people were consuming it on day 0, so playing 8 hours straight. And then what you get is those platforms actually promote games that are good over a week. So people but then we see people are finishing in a day. So the better game you produce, and that's the problem with story games, that once story is over, the game is over. When you make a game where you have some repetitive mechanics. You play levels, and you have like 10,000 levels, and you keep playing. You can play it for a week, 2 weeks. Once you are bored, you will put it away, like Candy Crush. Yeah, you can play it forever. Yeah, but then when you try to create a story around the game to make it really long and supply players with content for months, is just like impossible. Like even for the company that 60 people, on board.
Yeah.
And the companies like CD Projekt, they are making games for like 7 years, and then it's 40 hours of gameplay. Yeah. So
yeah, it's crazy. Like your Grand Theft Auto, like how many people work on that game? Like it's been just godly amounts of money to make something like that. That's a whole nother level. What for these games that you're created, like the games that you created, did you just made them for fun? Did you try to sell them as well, or how did that go?
no, like we've monetized the games, and we made let's say decent return. Maybe that was not a return, mainly because the monetization in the games we've released was more of unlocking the full story. So if you make a proper game where you can keep monetizing and grinding a player, for months and months and months, they can spend like hundreds of dollars. We could not apply such monetization strategy to such game, but we've made a return, and all of that return was actually invested in what we make now. Yeah. We also have investors, like angel investors that joined us, but like we believe that this project is the biggest thing so far that we've made. Yeah, and everything that we've done so far will be very small.
Yeah, we wish you the best of luck. It sounds like a really awesome project. What is like if someone wants to create a game, will they be able to monetize by selling the game on Fabbler .ai eventually, or what's the revenue stream for the creators?
Yeah, so in terms of revenue, it definitely we have to make it the way so that creator feels that he is a part of the system. Yeah, I think that we will have to figure out it with players what works for them, or creators what eventually works well with them. I think that the YouTube way of monetizing is something that should also work for Fabbler. This is our current idea, but there is also this idea of if we can create the community of creators who create together, and someone, let's say, creates art assets that he wants to monetize, there can be this additional revenue streams where the economy works. Yes, so you are let's say artists, you've created some art, you publish that art on Fabbler, someone else took the art or purchased that art from you. So then we will actually go for more like a Roblox like approach, where you have some currency inside of the game that you can spend or either exchange for the real money. Yeah, but it's still too early to tell on what we will decide. But definitely we have to make it work for everyone. Yeah, so creators need to feel that they are kind of making return, and not we are making return on what they produce. I think this will never work, on trying to monetize the content without the creators. Yeah, so it will be a revenue shared with them.
What does the pricing look like once creators are able to create games on your platform? Is it going to be a monthly subscription? Is there a free tier? How does that work in terms of pricing?
Yeah, so one of the things that we have done from the start is to produce the system so that we have the free tier, so people can use it for free. So we are actually relying on our own models. So all of the art models and LLM models are open source implementations that we have trained, and we are running them on our own infrastructure. And thanks to that, we can control the cost of the generation. And thanks to that, we can actually offer a free tier, because if we rely, let's say, on any third-party service that provide you with the art generation or text generation, that will just get super expensive. So kind of the core strategy of ours is to be able to offer it to individual creators for free. But then obviously, if you are a heavy creator and you are making return, we are planning to have some paid subscription plan.
So where are you on the roadmap right now? I know we've kind of talked about like the pieces that you're putting together, from image creation to music to all of this stuff. What is it? look like right now, and what are the current projects you're working on right now, and what are all the pieces that have to be put together before this is all said and done in a complete project?
So at the moment we are in the beta phase of the storytelling module. We are also working with few companies who can game dev company, like a game development companies, who one company already started using Fabbler for the story meta content production in their game. We also have a company that actually does not intend to use Fabbler as the output in their game, but what it enabled them to do is to mock up the idea of the story really fast. Yeah. So what you do is you can actually generate, instead of, let's do a storyboard, let's talk to a writer, will create, the script, and then concept designer will create concepts, and the artist, what they've done was single person sat down and generated the idea of what the narrative should be, show that narrative with the voiceovers, music, and everything to the director, and the director says, yeah, I like it, or I don't like it. Yeah, so it just improve that process. And at the moment we are 100% focused on making this story creation experience excellent, and there are a number of features that we are implementing based on the conversation. Yeah, so first is being able to upload your own kind of reference images and generate game characters that look alike those reference images. They've asked us about ability to edit narrative by hand. At the moment, it's not possible, so they want to actually, generate the narrative and be able to edit it, change this narrative. And there is other smaller features, such as we want to upload our own music, we want to change we want to configure specific voiceovers for characters, etc. So this is the features we are working. This all related to storytelling module. Once we'll complete that part of work, next step will be the decision gameplay that we'll be implementing here.
So how are you dealing with, obviously, this global crisis of copyright concerns with music, voices, and things like that? What kind of tools are you using on the back end, and how are you dealing with those concerns?
So we, in general, all of the models that we use are trained by ourselves, and we are using synthetic data to do this. Yeah. So in general, it's kind of iterational process. Yeah. So we started with the base open source model. The question is what happens to the base foundational open source models, whether they will be killed or not. At the moment, I think everything is going in favor of AI, but we'll see. And what we really do is we have this, at the moment, now it's large. We have very big data sets because you take it in iteration. So first you generate, like a small data set, you train the model, you see what the outputs are, you generate larger, then you do permutations of that data sets because that doesn't work, and so on and so on. And after 6 months, you have pretty good data set. You train the model again, you see, okay, it doesn't work, and you learn. And there is multiple different practices that you can do to improve it, improve the output. Yeah, I think that initially people were saying that training models on synthetic data sets won't work, but I don't think that's the case. Yeah, you can actually make it work. We are making it work, and I believe in in specific use cases, what we do is better than some of the models trained on the human art in general. So this is a lot of work. Yeah. In terms of what will happen to this, in general, AI content copyrights, I don't know. We just, we bet on the AI being, free to use. If the regulators will take it into direction where they will actually prevent use of even synthetic data to train the models, like, we're gonna face that reality. Yeah, I think that Fabbler is also not just about AI generated content. This is interesting kind of learning from the beta tests, that people not necessarily have to generate things. It's more about the ease to create the narrative, and where it places all of the things together, and kind of AI acts as the placeholders, and later I will replace it. Yeah. So artists that, let's say, hate AI, there is this massive movement of artists not liking AI. I think that they could actually use Fabbler to create games with their own art and compete with the AI art. Yeah. And I think that's going to be a very unique proposition, because you're saying this game is like you have mechanical watches, which are now super expensive, but they used to be normal thing, like 80 years ago or 70 years ago. So I think that the AI art will be here, but the human-made art will be just very special, and people will appreciate it as human-made. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that, like you alluded to at the very beginning of the podcast, is there's going to be, for movies, for example, the human element's not going to be taken away, but also AI is going to be there as well. So it's going to be a hybrid approach, and it can be the same way with artists, right? Like the artists can use AI to help them create their art, right? But if they don't embrace it, they might get left behind.
What I wanted to add here is that I think that making AI art is not just prompt. Yeah, actually, if you now will go to the tools that enable you, I think that Midjourney gives you this impression because they create a UX over making AI art, that it seems like you are just creating a prompt. But if you go to open source tools that enable you to produce art, we are working with AI art 24/7 at Fabbler, and we cannot follow all of the technologies that are being released. I have like a document with 1,000 different releases, add-ons that you can use with the stable diffusion models and things. It's just impossible to catch up with all of the developments, and everything that is being released in some way will help you to make better generations, better outputs. And like, if let's say today you will decide, oh, let's build the characters pipeline for a game, that's not a prompt. You actually gonna have to do like some sort of AI engineering. Like, it's different, it's not the same like in these large companies I used to work for, where you have that data science team that was working. Is a little bit different. It's kind of engineering now, but you still have to figure out the tooling, test this, check different metrics of what sampler works best, then use some a detailer that will help you with the details. If you do full post characters, the eyes will be bad, so you need to find solution to that. And there is some things that will work right for the scenes, but the lighting will be bad, so it's not like you just prompt and generate art. It actually, like, I have one company that I'm helping with in general getting up to speed with AI. So
Okay.
I think it's already like 2 months of them working on the pipeline that they could implement in their game. That was not one day. The guy just didn't come, okay, let me prompt it, okay, problem solved. It's actually engineering. Yeah. And I think that like, obviously I understand why people are not happy with AI, because it's about to take their income away. But at the same time, they could actually learn all of that tools, and I promise them, if they will spend 24/7 learning how to learn all of those tools, they won't be able to keep up. It's not, you don't have enough time during the week to learn all of that. Yeah, there's so much of things that you gonna have to learn to be expert, that can later join, I don't know, the CD project and do AI art for them. It's not a prompt. Yeah, so
It's so hard to keep up with just the AI news in general. So there's new tools and features and news all the time. So it's impossible. Like, we deal with that. We write a simple newsletter, and it's hard to keep up with everything. So I can't imagine what it is for gaming. But I think you bring up a good point. Like, there's tools for editing, for example, where 5 years ago it would be very hard to take the background out of an image if you want to just put your face on an image and have the background gone, or change the background. Well, AI makes that very easy now, but it's not a prompt like you said. You have to actually go into a tool and select things that you want removed, or say I want the background removed, and it does that for you. So it's like it seems like these tools for gaming as well are supercharged in the editor and the AI makes those things easier within the editor. But you're not writing a prompt. You're not just writing prompts. Create me a game, and voila, it's done.
I will tell you what my kind of take on that is. I think that games made just with AI will be good, but games that are made assisted by AI, but they are human made, will be great. Like even you can like in general, like you are in AI, so there is this agent kind of approach to dealing with AI, where you have multiple agents talking to each other. So I think that currently the thing is that you always need a human input to make it good. So you cannot, like we've experienced this initially when we are trying to do like obviously things are changing, and maybe this year things will change, but at the moment I like, even if you try to create with state of the art open AI architecture where you will try to delegate something for 1 month to AI and then have that AI do meaningful things, it won't, because you're gonna have to direct it somewhere. Yeah, so you still have a human somewhere that directs the output or tells that he's not happy. And I think that in general, even with what we do, is the best things made will be when actually someone has some vision and uses Fabbler as something that multiplies, makes it 100 times faster for him, but it's still his vision. Yeah. Obviously, I was not expecting Sora to be so good, so maybe something will happen soon. But at the moment, I think people are needed, and the content that is directed by people who have vision, ideas, that will be the best content. Yeah. Like even like if you use ChatGPT today to do a PowerPoint, you will see that you're gonna have do a lot of prompting before you will get the idea that you want out of him. It's not like create a PowerPoint, amazing, PowerPoint for me, and then what you're gonna see is, okay, I don't like this, and you keep interacting, and you spend like 1 hour iterating, and ChatGPT is just assistant helping you, not making it for you.
Sometimes it might take you longer to do all those edits for an hour than just create the PowerPoint in the first place, So
yeah, I was thinking the same. Like last time I was working on the PowerPoint. Yes.
And I like another very important thing that I've come to realize by doing YouTube videos is you can have all the data in the world, and you can have all these LLMs spitting out PowerPoints, or you have Sora make videos for you, and the videos look amazing. It's not released to the general public yet, but the examples that we've seen are pretty mind-blowing. But you still need a story behind that, right? And most of those stories, the good stories out there, come from human beings. It's hard from my experience, to have ChatGPT tell a very good story that I could use for a video, for example. So it's you can. I guess my point is, you can have all the best data and the output in the world from AI, but you need a human touch to tell the story behind it. And
I believe the same. Yeah, I believe the same. And to be honest with you, also I think that the like at least in Fabbler, from the creators' perspective, because the viewer is different thing. We need to get there, to explain what the viewers like, what the creators create. We can see that the creator is engaged where he actually interacts with the system. So when initially, like there is this new kind of vertical of that influencer created something and he wants to use that as input to create something. But again, creator is happy when he creates. Like, and the good creators are good at creating. That's why they are successful. Yeah. And they want to create. They need to, like, I think that this is very unlikely that creator who hates to create content is successful. He doesn't like. So you need to have this vibe, I want to create this video. I want to get in the front of camera, or get in the go outside, record. You need to have a passion for it. Yeah. So now there is some passion somewhere happens, and that passion is being fed into a system. Yeah. So and when our initial idea was January 2023. Was to create a system that creates games on its own. Yeah, so you give a prompt and keep iterating. There was this agent, but when we were doing initial tests with people, they were just engaged They were just coming back to that initial prompt. Yeah, they were not even checking the story that was generated, but they were seeing the first kind of outputs, and they were hitting back and reprompting, and then seeing them and reprompting. So they were like, so we've noticed was okay. So they are not very even interested about the story, but they are more interested how it reacts to their inputs. So there must be control over what they create, yeah, because this is what is fun for them, yeah. So creator wants to create. If you take it away from him, he will probably not come to your system to create, because there is no point for him to create.
Right.
Obviously, if you have created a long form video and that video is the input, and then so you've spent time on creating that video and you fed that video into Fabbler, and Fabbler created the things for you, that is also your input, yeah. But at that point, yeah, so I think that people want to interact with those systems. It's like, calculator makes things easier for you, like spreadsheet.
Yeah. If you are a good creator and you're passionate about what you do, and you do have a story created by OpenAI, for example, on ChatGPT or Claude.ai or any of these models, you read them and you can tell the stories, as being a good creator, you can tell the stories are kind of crap, right? And then you go back and you have to reprompt it and say, change this and change that. So I think it's almost like it's a human thing, right? Part of us wants to be as lazy as possible and have it do all this work for us. But the bottom line is, the stories that do the best are the ones that have the passion behind them. And if you don't have that, your content's not going to do well, whether it's AI created or you're just on your own,
I 100% agree. And also I like to look at like when you deal with AI, I like to kind of use this reference of, if you have 3 people in the team, the smartest guys in, let's say, in the USA are in the room. And you get them to work together, so you have the smartest minds. They will also will start arguing, no, you are wrong, I'm right, this is how we should do it. And so like, even if you create the best AI model that knows everything, it's still not good enough, because if you put 3 smartest people in the room, they will still have different perspectives. So there's no, like, people look at AI and they say, this is a singular source of truth. Now, like it should know it's right about everything, but the world is not black and white. That's the problem. Yeah, that 3 things at the same time can be true, and here is the problem. Yeah, that you need someone to decide. Okay, out of these 10 best things created by AI, this is the best thing for me and for my content, and that other things are not really good in my context, in my very specific environment, and so on. Yeah, so I even believe if we have kind of AG, like super AI that can do everything, still people will be needed, because if you put 3 smartest people in the room, there is still room for discussions, decision making, and figuring out what is right. Yes,
and all those, it seems like AI is not good at subtleties, right? Like in a movie, there might be something moving on the screen, very subtle in the background, that makes a big part of the story. Well, AI might not be the best at doing that, even in Sora, something like that. So those subtleties make a big difference.
I was like looking when Sora was released. I was with my wife in the room, and I showed her this. We were just discussing that if you take Tarantino movie, like scenes from Tarantino movie, it's gonna be very hard to replicate this, because there are such a small things that play a difference, that replicating that's gonna be super hard. You can still use it to for some scenes, but there are like very, very small things. Like if you analyze Tarantino is just example, but if you analyze his movie, there are very, very, very small details that make it a great movie. Very small details.
And that's be very hard for AI to replicate.
But what I think Sora will do is it will empower the small guys. I mean, like these casual creators to create something meaningful that can probably get them later a capital to create a professional movies, very professional movies. Because I think that AI really, what it does is it empowers the people that want to learn, and can probably give like, let's say you have a person in whatever very poor country that doesn't have the resources to create such content, and that person learns the tools and learns how to use Sora, but not just Sora. It learns different tools, how to edit it, how to align it. That person spends 6 months on creating best movie possible with the tools. So this is something that is great, yeah. And I think that AI really will definitely shrink revenue of that larger movie producers, but will also empower the small producers that are now not capable, yeah. Because if you cannot afford the even camera to record the movie, you will never create it. And with Sora, like this is my idea in general, yeah, that you could actually empower this people that are now without any power, yeah.
And those people might have, back to the passion, those people probably have way more passion than the big Hollywood studios do. So they're, the end result, I think, is a win-win for everyone. It's a win for the creators and also the people viewing the content, because the content most likely will be more interesting because the creators that created the content are passionate about it. Now they're enabled to make it because they don't need the money per se to make it.
I'm really looking forward, to seeing, first movie that you can because at the moment, movie generations with AI are like, interesting thing about Sora is have you seen this, the Shutterstock movie that this bird image was trained on? Yeah, this example someone found on. So the interesting thing is that the AI OpenAI generated video looks more original than the original training data set. Yeah, so if you have to pick one, I'll say this is AI generated, but it's actually not. That's the data set. So this is interesting. So I think once it's released, you will get definitely there will be some creators that will get very successful, especially people that take it early. I can see on Twitter there is some AI creators that started very early, like in May 2022, when the AI image generation started picking up, and they now have 50,000 followers on Twitter. They are very popular and so on, and they cannot believe where it got them. And I also think the same will happen with Sora. So people who are very passionate will pick it up first, will learn how to use it, we create content with it, that content will go viral very easily, and they will be able to make a good living out of it. Yeah,
hit the nail on the head there. It's going to be really fun to see when it gets released. I don't know when that is, but see what it looks like. So fun times ahead. We really appreciate you coming on, Greg. Is there anything else you want to promote? Now's the time to do it.
No, first of all, or the last thing, thanks for inviting me. I really enjoyed that. Yeah. So if you want to follow up the developments, I can keep sharing updates with you. Maybe once we have this more advanced version, we can play it together and see what we can create. And yeah, thanks for inviting me. I really appreciate it.
Keep us in mind for sure and send us any updates you have. We love to keep up with that stuff. And then maybe we could talk again once you get closer to release as well. And then anybody who's watching, be sure to subscribe to Ryan and I's weekday newsletter, fry-ai.com, where you will see the latest news in the AI space, as well as some cool tools. Then on Sunday, we do deep dives into cool developments and developers like this one. Be sure to check out Fabbler.ai and see all their latest developments. And then be sure to subscribe to Behind the Bots to see more interviews like this one.